The world was quiet in November 2022, quieter than usual. The winds of winter carried something ancient, something rare. Not just the cold, not just the scent of sand and sea, but a whisper of football's oldest dream, the World Cup. For the first time, the tournament would be played not in summer, but beneath the softer light of winter sun, in the small, shimmering nation of Qatar. 8 stadiums, rising like illusions from the desert. New, polished, surreal. Built to hold the weight of the world's dreams, the world arrived slowly. Planes touched down on golden runways. Players stepped into the heat, into the light. The stage was set. And so, on November 20th, it began. The opening match saw Qatar, the hosts, take their first steps into history. Against Ecuador, they tried to fight, to dream, but the story began with defeat. Enner Valencia, the Ecuadorian captain, scored twice, his boots speaking louder than the roaring crowd. Qatar 0, Ecuador 2. The next day, the world held its breath. England arrived with fire. Against Iran, they danced, with goals from Bellingham, Saka, Sterling, Rashford. The score was 6-2. A storm of goals, and yet even in the loss, Iran's Mehdi Taremi scored twice, as if to remind the world that beauty can live in defeat. Then came Argentina, the giants, the myth, Messi. Facing Saudi Arabia, the Albiceleste walked onto the pitch with pride, with confidence, with fate. They scored first. Messi, calmly, from the penalty spot. It should have been a simple tale. But football has its own poetry. In 6 minutes, everything changed. Saleh al-Shehri and Salim al-Dosari, 2 names that danced into legend, turned the match upside down. Argentina won, Saudi Arabia 2. The shock was seismic. The world blinked, and somewhere in the silence, Messi walked off the field, eyes forward, as if he knew his story was not yet done. France, the reigning champions, entered with grace. Kylian Mbappé, fluid, fast, inevitable, led the charge. Against Australia, they roared back from an early goal, 4-1. They were still kings, for now. Germany arrived with history on their back, but Japan had something else: patience, strength. And when it mattered most, they struck, 2-1. Another giant fell. Spain answered with 7 goals. Costa Rica couldn't breathe. Gavi, the youngest, danced like he belonged to another era. 7-0, a reminder that Spain had not disappeared. And then, Brazil. The rhythm, the gold, the dream. Neymar, Richarlison, Vinicius. Against Serbia, it was Richarlison who stole the light. His second goal, a volley spun in air like magic, left the world breathless. Brazil 2, Serbia 0. Cristiano Ronaldo, now 37, stepped onto the field with Portugal. His name already carved in time, but still, he wanted more. Against Ghana, he scored. He became the first man to score in 5 World Cups. Portugal won 3-2. But the world saw it. The end was near, and Ronaldo knew it. And so the group stage rolled on, day after day, story after story. South Korea drew with Uruguay. Cameroon fought Serbia in a wild 3-3. Morocco stunned Belgium 2-0. Hakim Ziyech floating like a shadow. Tunisia beat France's reserves. Japan defeated Spain with ruthless beauty. And Germany, beaten again by fate, left too early, like a great actor who forgot his lines. The round of 16 took shape. Argentina would meet Australia. France would face Poland. Brazil versus South Korea. England versus Senegal. And then, Portugal versus Switzerland. Spain versus Morocco. Croatia versus Japan. The Netherlands versus the United States. As the group stage ended, a hush fell across the world. It was no longer about who arrived. It was about who would survive. And somewhere, beneath the quiet desert moon, Lionel Messi sat in his room. He closed his eyes and dreamed, not of glory, but of peace, of one final dance. The round of 16 began like a breath held too long. 8 matches, 16 nations, but only half would wake up to see the next sun. The Netherlands met the United States under a quiet sky. Orange shirts flowed like waves. Depay struck early, Daily Blind followed, and the Americans chased shadows. A flicker of hope came with Wright's strange floating goal. But Dumfries answered without fear, 3-1. The Dutch advanced. Argentina faced Australia. The desert air was heavier now. Messi's face was calm, focused, unreadable. In the 35th minute, he slid between defenders with grace that defied time. A shot, low and true. The net rustled. The silence after that goal lasted forever. Later, Julian Alvarez would add a second. Australia pulled one back. And in the dying moments, a block from Martinez saved Argentina's dream. 2-1. Messi walked off, not smiling, just breathing. France returned to the stage against Poland. Mbappé was not in the mood for hesitation. He moved like a whisper in the wind. Too fast to catch, too elegant to deny. He scored 2 goals that didn't feel real, and Giroud passed Thierry Henry to become France's all-time top scorer. 3-1. France still marched. Then came England. Senegal stood tall, brave, but Bellingham, Kane, Saka, they broke through, young lions with old hearts. 3-0. England looked ready. The next day, Japan faced Croatia. The Blue Samurai struck first, but Perisic rose like a ghost to equalize. Penalties arrived, silent and merciless. Japan missed. Croatia, ice in their veins, did not. 3-1, and the runners-up from 2018 survived. Then Brazil. Brazil didn't play football that night. They painted. Within 36 minutes, they were 4 goals ahead of South Korea. Vinicius curled one. Neymar danced to the spot and scored. Richarlison choreographed a goal born of rhythm and memory. Lucas Paquetá tapped another. 4-1 was the final score, but it felt like a concert, a party in slow motion. Tight, the manager, danced too. Brazil smiled, but some said they smiled too soon. Then came Morocco, against Spain, a giant versus a nation who had never passed this round. Spain kept the ball, and Morocco kept their soul. After 120 minutes, no goals. It came down to penalties. Spain missed. Once, twice, 3 times. Achraf Hakimi stepped up, calm as moonlight, and chipped the ball down the middle. Panenka. Morocco had done it. For the first time in their history, they reached the quarterfinals. And the Atlas Lions roared. Portugal played last. Against Switzerland, all eyes were on Ronaldo. But the manager had made a decision. Ronaldo would sit. In his place came Gonzalo Ramos, young, unknown. He scored a hat trick, 3 goals in the biggest moment of his life. The final score, 6-1. Portugal dazzled. But Ronaldo watched, distant, quiet. His legend was untouchable. But the future had arrived, and now there were 8. Argentina, Brazil, France, England, Portugal, Croatia, Morocco, the Netherlands. The quarterfinals loomed like mountains. And in every camp, there was silence before the storm. In the Argentine camp, Messi spoke to his teammates, not about destiny, not about history, but about love, about sacrifice, about walking together no matter what waited. In the Moroccan camp, the players prayed. They called home. They cried softly, not from fear, but from pride. In Brazil, they laughed, joked, danced. And in France, Mbappé stared into the night, unblinking. He knew what was coming. The quarterfinals were not just matches. They were crossroads. And the World Cup does not forgive the careless. The stage was set. The dance would continue. And the world was watching. The quarterfinals arrived like a cold wind. No more second chances. No more safety. Just the edge of history and the silence before fate speaks. The first match, Croatia versus Brazil. A clash of rhythm and resolve. Brazil came with light, with music, with Neymar. For 90 minutes, Croatia stood tall. Modric, the Eternal, danced with time itself. The game was tight, nervous, tense. Then in extra time, Neymar broke through. He exchanged passes like soft piano notes, spun away from the keeper, and thundered the ball into the roof of the net. The bench exploded. It felt like Brazil had done it. But Croatia does not surrender. In the 117th minute, a deflected shot from Bruno Petkovic rolled past Alisson's outstretched arm. The world gasped. It went to penalties. Croatia's hands did not shake. Brazil's did. Rodrigo missed. Marquinhos hit the post. And just like that, Brazil, vibrant, joyful Brazil, was gone. Neymar sat on the pitch, alone, silent, staring into a night that offered no answers. Croatia, once again, survived, not by force, but by soul. Then came Argentina versus Netherlands, a story from another era, reborn in the desert night. Messi was everywhere. He assisted the first, with a pass only he could see. Then he scored the second, a penalty, struck with the certainty of a man chasing destiny. It was too new. It should have been over. But the Dutch are not ghosts. They do not vanish. Weghorst scored. Then, in the final minute of added time, a clever free kick, a moment of brilliance. He scored again, 2-2. A thunderclap. The tension was unbearable. Yellow cards flew like autumn leaves, pushing, shouting, and then penalties. Martinez, the Argentine goalkeeper, became a wall of emotion. He saved, and saved again. Lautaro Martinez stepped up last. He struck. The net rippled. Argentina was through. Messi didn't run. He walked, fist clenched, eyes burning. It wasn't joy. It was something deeper. It was survival. Then came Morocco versus Portugal, a match that began with disbelief and ended with something sacred. Youssef and Nasiri rose into the air like a myth, higher than any man should. He met the ball with his head, and Portugal's net bent to history. 1-0. Portugal attacked. Bruno Fernandes struck the bar. João Felix came close. But it wasn't their night. Cristiano Ronaldo came on. He ran. He fought. But the story was already written. At the final whistle, he walked down the tunnel alone. No tears, just silence. Morocco became the first African team to reach a World Cup semifinal. A continent breathed as one. Their flag waved in every corner of the earth. And last, England versus France. Two giants, two storms, meeting in the middle of a winter night. France struck first, Tchouaméni from distance, like a knife through mist. Kane responded with a penalty, his 53rd goal for England, equaling Wayne Rooney. France went ahead again. Giroud rose, a man reborn, and nodded it home. England had another chance, a second penalty. Kane stood again, the captain, the heart. But this time, the shot flew over, high, too high. The whistle blew, 2-1. And England, so full of hope, fell once more at the edge of greatness. France advanced, cold, precise. Mbappé barely smiled. The semifinalists were set. Argentina, France, Croatia, Morocco, each with a story, each carrying weight. But only one could end in light. The next chapter would not be about who played better, but who wanted it more. And in the quiet night, as players slept in darkened hotel rooms, some dreamed of gold, while others simply prayed for one more game. Only 4 teams remained. 4 threads in the great tapestry of football, pulled tighter with each breath, each step, each silent heartbeat in the tunnel. First came Argentina versus Croatia, 2 captains, 2 poets, Messi and Modric, men of grace, of vision, of time running out. Croatia, fearless and sharp, held the ball like a secret. But in the 34th minute, something broke. Julian Alvarez ran behind the line, was brought down, and Messi stepped forward. The penalty was thunder, top corner, no doubt, no hesitation. 1-0. The world exhaled, then came Alvarez again. He ran through bodies like a shadow slipping through trees, touched by luck maybe, deflections, rebounds. But it didn't matter. The net moved. 2-0. Croatia staggered, not from fear, from fate. They pushed, they tried, but Messi wasn't done. On the right wing, he held the ball near the touchline. Gvardiol, young and brilliant, marked him tight. But Messi twisted, spun, stopped, started. He turned the best young defender in the world into a spectator. And then, the assist. A gift to Alvarez, 3-0. The Argentine bench erupted, but Messi didn't scream. He just looked to the sky. This wasn't about dominance. It was about memory. At full time, Modric walked off the field. Applause followed him. He turned once, hand to heart. A hero's goodbye. Argentina was in the final. The next night, the world held its breath. France versus Morocco, a defending champion against a nation that had already made history. The Moroccan fans filled the stadium. Red and green flags rose like fire. Songs of hope echoed into the desert sky. But in the 5th minute, France struck. A defensive scramble, a loose ball, and Theo Hernandez, off balance, somehow lifted the ball past the keeper. 1-0. But Morocco did not fold. They attacked with soul. Ounahi danced in midfield. Amrabat hunted every shadow. Ziyech carved the right side like a poet with a blade. El Yamik, a defender, tried an overhead kick. It struck the post. So close. France waited. Mbappe moved like a ripple in water, not always visible, but always there. In the 79th minute, he twisted through 3 defenders, shot, a deflection, and Kolo Muani tapped it in, 2-0. That was the end, but it wasn't defeat. It was honor. As the final whistle blew, the Moroccan players fell to the ground. Not from exhaustion, but from the weight of what they'd done. The first African team to ever reach this far. The first Arab team to stand among the last 4. They made the world dream. And so it was written. Argentina versus France, Messi versus Mbappe, the old king and the new, one seeking his final crown, the other defending his throne. It was not just a match. It was the end of a book, written across decades. As the sun rose on December 18th, the world grew still. In villages and cities, in bedrooms and cafes, in streets and shelters, people waited. Fathers held sons. Friends sat in silence. Children clutched jerseys too big for their small shoulders. And in the dressing rooms, 2 men laced their boots. One in light blue and white, the other in deep blue. Both knew. The world would never forget what came next. December 18th, 2022. The world held its breath. In Lusail Stadium, under a pale winter sun, 88,000 souls gathered, and millions more watched from dimly lit rooms across the earth. Argentina versus France. Messi versus Mbappe. The final nobody could script. And yet, it was written. The first whistle blew, and with it, the air cracked with tension. Argentina began like a storm wrapped in silk. Not chaos, but control. Precise. Calm. Deadly. In the 23rd minute, Di Maria cut into the box. A blur of legs, a trip, a fall. The referee pointed. Messi stepped forward. No hesitation. He stared at the goal, as if speaking to it. Then, a strike low and firm. 1-0, no celebration, just focus, as if the work was not yet done. France looked shaken. Mbappé, quiet. Griezmann, invisible. They barely touched the ball. Then, the 36th minute, Argentina moved like music. A pass from Messi. Then McAllister, slicing through the field like a knife through water. And then, Di Maria. A touch. A shot. A goal. 2-0. The stadium roared, but not Messi. He simply turned. He knew what football could do. He'd lived it before. France were drowning. Deschamps made changes early, rare, desperate. 2 substitutions before halftime. But for 70 minutes, nothing changed. Argentina danced. France waited. Then, the 80th minute, a flicked ball, a clash. Colomouani brought down, penalty, Mbappé, silent, still. He struck, 2-1. And in that moment, the world shifted. Just 1 minute later, a mistake, a loose ball, and there he was again, Mbappé. A volley, struck with fury. The net shook, 2-2. In 97 seconds, France had risen from the grave. Messi stood, hands on hips, not broken, not angry, just aware. Extra time came like a ghost, tired legs, tired hearts, and yet they played. In the 108th minute, Messi moved again, a pass to Lautaro, a saved shot, a rebound. Messi, somehow, there again. He struck. It crossed the line. It counted, 3-2. He raised his arms. He smiled, not wildly, not loudly, just with peace. But it wasn't over. The 118th minute, another handball, another penalty. Mbappé stepped up again, and again he scored. Hat trick. In a World Cup final, 3-3. The world stood still. In the final moments, Colomouani broke free. He faced Martinez, alone. He shot, and Martinez spread his body wide, a desperate perfect wall, saved it, a save that echoed in history. Then came penalties. First, Mbappé. He scored. Messi. He scored. Then, Coman, saved by Martinez. Dybala, scored. Tchouaméni stepped up. He missed. And then Montiel. 1 shot left. For everything. He struck low. The net trembled. It was done. Argentina were champions. Messi fell to his knees. Tears came, not of pain, but of release. His teammates surrounded him. They lifted him. They knew. Everyone knew. This was not just a victory. It was the closing of a circle. For Messi, for Argentina, for every child who kicked a ball in an empty street, dreaming of something beautiful. In the end, even Mbappé, 3 goals, no trophy, could only watch. He had time, years. But that night belonged to someone else. And in the desert, beneath golden lights, Lionel Messi lifted the World Cup, at last.